Hi, I'm Dr. Katie Brown, Senior Lecturer in Latin American Studies at the University of Exeter. In this series of videos, I'll be discussing Gabriel García Márquez's 1981 novel Crónica de Muerte, Anunciada, addressing some aspects you may not have discussed in your classes. The first video will be about Gabriel García Márquez as a journalist and the Crónica as a genre. Gabriel García Márquez is perhaps best known as the quintessential magical realist, although he didn't invent the genre. You're probably aware of his 1976 novel Cien años de soledad, 100 Years of Solitude, considered a masterpiece of magical realism. Though there are some magical realist elements in Crónica de Muerte Anunciada, today I'd like to talk about a lesser-known side of García Márquez, his career as a journalist and his relation to the Crónica as a genre. According to John Lee Anderson, journalism was García Márquez's first love. He's such a significant figure in Latin American journalism that in 1994, the Fundación Gabo para el Nuevo Periodismo Iberoamericano was founded, which supports journalists in the region to this day. Journalism was his profession for more than 40 years, since he began writing for newspapers as a student. García Márquez used journalism to hone his writing skills, often bringing techniques from literary fiction into his reporting. He reported on both national and international news, achieving national acclaim in 1954 for El Escándalo del Siglo, the Scandal of the Century, his Crónica of the mysterious death of Wilma Montesi in Italy and the ensuing political scandal, published in El Espectador. You may have noticed that I used the word Crónica there to refer to García Márquez's news reports. So what is a Crónica? And what does the title Crónica de la Muerte Anunciada tell us about the novel? The Crónica is a very important genre in Latin American literature, and one that is frequently used to talk about significant social issues such as crime and corruption. While the dictionary will give you translations such as report, feature or article, literary scholars tend to translate the term crónica as creative non-fiction. Crónica writers, including García Márquez, use the creative devices of other forms of writing to structure their work and capture readers' attention. In fact, Juan Villoro, in 2012, referred to the Crónica as el ornitorrinco de la prosa, the platypus of prose, because it has a little bit of everything. According to Villoro, the Crónica combines the verifiable facts of journalism with the subjectivity of novels, that is, telling the story through a particular perspective, as well as the economy of short stories, the polyphony or many voices of the Greek chorus, the testimony of interviews, and the memorial tone of autobiography. So how does that relate to our Crónica? Well, it's important to remember that, unlike his journalistic work, Crónica de una Muerte Anunciada is not a true story. There was no Santiago Nazar or Ángela Vicario, but there was a murder in the 1950s which sparked García Márquez's imagination and led to this text decades later. Though the story is ultimately a work of fiction, the narrator, who returns to his hometown 23 years later to investigate what really happened around Santiago's death, resembles García Márquez the journalist, asking questions and gathering testimonies to put together a story. Through the narrator, García Márquez gives us glimpses into his professional practice and highlights how multiple, often contradictory voices come together to create a narrative of an event. In summary, journalism and narrative were intertwined tasks for García Márquez. In this novel, he uses narrative styles and techniques from a range of different genres, as is typical of the Crónica, to create an engaging text which urges us to think about how events are reported, remembered, and turned into narratives.